I checked into my hotel room for a normal business trip, but the lamp on the desk was watching me. Then the vent, the smoke detector, even the mirror. Cameras everywhere, dozens. And just when I thought I'd found them all, the TV flickered on by itself, and a voice whispered, "You missed the last one." It began on a business trip. A simple 2-night stay in a mid-range hotel, nothing fancy, nothing suspicious. I checked in late, dragging my suitcase down a carpeted hallway that smelled of detergent and something faintly metallic. I ignored it at the time. I shouldn't have. I remember telling myself that the room was nice. Clean. Ordinary. A desk lamp buzzed softly, and the curtain swayed as if moved by a breath that wasn't mine. I laughed it off. It was late. I was tired. But the first sign that something was wrong came when I power tested the outlets. A habit of mine, I travel a lot, so I check everything. When I shifted the lamp to reach the plug, I noticed a tiny hole in the base. A perfect pinprick, too precise to be a scratch. I leaned closer. A lens stared back. A tiny, glossy black dot, no bigger than a grain of rice, but unmistakably a camera. I froze, hunched over the lamp, my own reflection warped in the curved glass. My pulse spiked so violently I felt it in my ears. I whispered a curse under my breath, grabbed my phone, and snapped a photo as proof. I should have run then. Should have left everything behind and gone straight to the front desk. But curiosity, fear, and disbelief tangled together and forced me into paralysis. I needed to know if it was real, if someone was watching me, right now. I started to search the room. Not carefully. Not methodically. Desperately. The air felt colder as I moved. Every shadow seemed conscious, every surface a potential hiding place. The sense of being observed was so intense that my skin prickled and my spine locked. That lamp camera, the first one, was just the beginning. I found the second behind the vent grill. The third inside the smoke detector. The fourth, God help me, hidden inside the TV's bezel. And when I crouched to check beneath the bed frame creaked, like something, or someone, shifted slightly out of view. I didn't dare reach my hand under. I kept telling myself, I have to stay calm. I have to stay rational. But the truth was already sinking in like ice water in my veins. There weren't just cameras. There were too many cameras. And none of them were cheap, amateur devices. These were professional. High-end. Installed with precision. Installed with purpose. Someone planned this. Someone was watching. Someone was recording. And worst of all, someone knew I had found them. Because when I finally stood up, breathless and shaking, the television screen flickered to life behind me. I didn't touch the remote. I didn't say a word. The screen lit the darkened room in a pale glow, and I heard a voice, distorted, mechanical, but unmistakably directed at me. 2 words, keep searching. My blood turned to ice. Because the voice didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a smile. The moment those 2 words, keep searching, buzzed from the television, every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. But my legs refused to move. They felt nailed to the carpet as if the room itself wouldn't let me leave. The screen flickered again. Static rolled over the image, and then, for a brief second, I saw something, myself. A live feed. The camera angle was high, perched somewhere near the ceiling. I saw my own back, rigid as stone, staring at the TV. That meant the person watching me had access to the feed in real time. I spun around, scanning the ceiling, the corners, the molding. And that's when I noticed it, the light fixture. A simple frosted dome, nothing unusual, except the faint glow inside it wasn't warm yellow like the room's bulbs. It was cold. Bluish. Lead. There was another camera up there. Maybe more. My breath came in quick, shallow bursts. I stepped back toward the door. But the lock, an electronic latch, clicked loudly on its own. Not unlocking. Locking. I froze. My fingers trembled as I reached for the handle. It didn't budge. Something had control of my door. I whispered, "What do you want from me?" The air swallowed my voice whole. The TV answered instead. Another flicker. Another change of view. This time, it was a hallway. My hallway. Not from the hotel's security system, I could tell by the angle. It was low, almost at knee height, like the perspective of a small child, or something crawling. The grainy footage showed the carpet. The walls. My door. And then, movement. A figure stepped into frame. Tall. Thin. Wearing a black hoodie with the hood pulled low. Their head tilted to one side as they stopped in front of my door. They lifted a hand, long fingers, too long, and pressed something against the electronic lock. A tiny light blinked red, then green. My heart slammed against my ribs when I realized what the footage meant. Whoever was watching me wasn't just outside my room earlier. They had been inside. Recently. Maybe still. I backed away slowly, careful not to make a sound. Every part of me was shaking, but my mind sharpened with a strange clarity. I needed to check the bathroom. That was the one place I hadn't searched yet. Stupid, I know. The kind of stupid that gets people killed in horror movies. But in that moment, I was convinced that if I didn't keep looking, if I didn't follow the instruction given to me, something worse would happen. I approached the bathroom door, pushed it open, and flicked on the light. Nothing seemed unusual at first. But then I saw the mirror. Specifically, the small gap between the mirror and the wall, a sliver of darkness barely noticeable. Most hotel mirrors are glued or bolted down. This one wasn't. I reached out with one hand and tugged. It swung open like a cabinet door. Behind it was not a medicine cabinet. Behind it was a rectangular cavity carved into the wall, and inside that cavity was a camera array. Not one device. A whole rig. Wires. Microphones. A panel with blinking lights. More cameras than I could count before panic stole my ability to think. Someone had turned my bathroom mirror into a surveillance hub. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the handprint. Inside the cavity, near the bottom corner, smeared in reddish-brown, was a perfect handprint. Human-sized. Recent. As if whoever had been adjusting the equipment left it there minutes before I arrived. My knees nearly buckled. I whispered, "Why me?" The lights in the bathroom flickered once, twice, then went out. Pitch black. And in that total darkness, just inches from my ear, I heard a whisper that did not come from a speaker, or a device, or the television in the other room. It came from a human throat. A voice, low and wet, breathed, "You're almost done searching." The whisper in the darkness was so close I could feel the warmth of the breath on my skin. I stumbled backward, hitting the bathroom counter, sending small toiletries clattering into the void. My hands groped blindly for the light switch, but the darkness felt thick, alive, like it was swallowing my fingers whole. I forced myself to breathe. Slow. Quiet. Then I heard it. A soft dragging sound. Cloth brushing against the tiled floor. Someone was in the bathroom with me. I steadied my shaking hand along the wall, searching for the door frame, any escape, any opening, but the darkness seemed endless. My fingers touched nothing. My sense of direction spun wildly. I no longer knew which way the door was or whether I was facing the mirror, the cavity, or the thing that whispered. The dragging sound stopped. Silence. A silence so deep it pressed against my eardrums like static. Then the lights flickered back. For a split second, just a fraction of a heartbeat, I saw something standing directly in front of me. A shape taller than any normal person, its face hidden in the blur between shadow and flesh. No eyes. No mouth. Just a smooth surface like clay pulled over bone. And then darkness again. I screamed. I don't remember deciding to, the sound tore itself out of me. I spun toward where I thought the doorway was and sprinted, slamming into the frame so hard my shoulder burst with pain. But I pushed through it, stumbling into the main room. The TV was still on. Only now, the image on the screen had changed. No more hallways. No more static. Just me. A live feed of myself standing in the room, captured from at least 6 different angles. The cameras were still active. Still recording. Still broadcasting me like a trapped animal in a cage. Behind my shoulder in the feed, I saw movement. That tall shape stepped out from the darkness of the bathroom doorway. My blood turned to ice. I didn't look back. Couldn't. If I turned around and saw it inches from me, I would collapse. My body wouldn't survive that kind of fear. I lunged for the door again. The electronic lock blinked red. Locked. I yanked. Kicked. Slammed my fist into the metal until bones in my hand screamed. The lock blinked green. It opened. I didn't question it. I didn't think. I just ran. Down the hallway. Past the elevator. Toward the glowing exit sign. I didn't stop until I burst into the cold night air. Even then, I kept running, across the parking lot, past strangers who stared, into the next building I could find. I reported the cameras. Of course I did. But when the authorities searched the room, they found nothing. Not one hidden camera. Not one wire. Not one trace that anything had been tampered with. They even showed me the footage from the hallway security cameras. No one approached my door. No tall person. No figure in a black hoodie. No one but me. They said I imagined it. Stress. Exhaustion. Maybe a hallucination. I almost believed them, until the next morning, when I checked out of the replacement hotel they moved me to. I opened my suitcase to pack. Inside, neatly placed on top of my clothes, was a small object I had never seen before, a tiny black camera lens. Attached to it was a note, printed on a narrow strip of thermal paper, the kind used in cheap receipt machines. 4 words, "You missed the last one." I dropped the lens. It landed facing upward, glassy, reflective, staring right at me. Watching.